shoulder, heart to heart, we stand together as one community tonight. We are here to mourn the lives lost and shattered, to bring healing and support. We are here to replace darkness with light, to embrace love and respect for one another. We are here to say to the people of Tree of Life Synagogue and the entire Pittsburgh community, you are not alone. We are here. Welcome, and thank you for being here. On behalf of the entire Jewish community, I want to thank our partners from the faith and civic communities who came together so quickly to create tonight's program. I also want to thank our wonderful speakers, singers, and musicians who readily stepped forward, and we are deeply grateful for your participation. I also want to thank the numerous volunteers who have made tonight possible. And finally, I want to express our gratitude to Mayor Tyre, Mayor Thomas Bernard, State Representative Tricia Farley-Bouvier, and State Representative John Barrett III for joining us this evening. We are honored that you are with us. We are truly blessed to live in a place with such strong community bonds.
Welcome to Knesset Israel. I'm Rabbi David Weiner. Thank you to Derek Hoffman and the Jewish Federation of the Berkshires for their leadership in organizing this event. We have gathered tonight quite deliberately in a Jewish sanctuary. We have chosen to do this because whenever a sanctuary is violated, every sanctuary of every faith is compromised. And when we choose to return to that holy place, we restore it and heal it. There are those among us who find solace and uplift in sacred community week after week. There are those for whom this is a first visit to a place of worship, a synagogue, church, mosque, temple, or ashram in a while, or ever. Following in the footsteps of our ancestors Abraham and Sarah, we welcome everyone tonight, and always, and thank everyone. Really, we thank each other for being here. Tonight we will hear from leaders, be uplifted by songs of peace and hope, and connect deeply through prayers of loss and yearning. And tonight we have the opportunity to let this sacred space, this sacred gathering, bring us to a deeper place of inspiration and commitment. This sanctuary is an expression of our deepest yearnings. To discover wonder, to cultivate love, to direct our hearts, to experience connection. Here in this sanctuary, we see each other face to face. The seats invite us to experience the circle, the shape of oneness. We express with our bodies our equality before God and unity as people. This space nourishes the transcendent, the one in each of us. On the eastern wall, opposite Jerusalem, stands an ark, shaped like a tree. Its form expresses our deep connection to the Berkshires. And like a tree, when we are at our best, human beings stand rooted on earth, eyes uplifted, arms raised toward the heavens. Just as this ark contains scrolls of the Torah, the word wise and true, inside each of us resides the wisdom that makes us who we are and connects us to the eternal. Sometimes we call that Torah Eitz Chaim, the tree of life. At the core of Torah, and at the core of each of us is the commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. This sanctuary is not only a haven from a troubled world, it inspires us to connect with our neighborhood, our society, and our world through joy and awe and kinship and compassion, even after we depart this place. And so inscribed on the ark are two words. The first, to my left, Ayeka, where are you? The first question God asks of human beings in the Garden of Eden. Where are you is a question that resonates in every moment, and especially in moments as complicated and as fraught and as vulnerable as this one. And to my right appears the word hineni, here I am. The only correct response when God comes calling. Here I am to serve. Here we are to do what is needed to carry the message of compassion and justice, love and peace, faith and hope. As we begin our commemoration tonight with prayer, I ask, if you like, if you're comfortable, to please rise. And if it's okay for you, if you want to draw close to the people near you, arms around each other, holding hands. We are right here, hineni. We are right here to grieve and to heal. Let us pray.
We are devastated, God. Our hearts are breaking. In this time of shock and mourning, the loss is overwhelming. Send comfort and strength to the grieving family members. Send healing to the injured. Bless the courageous police officers who risk their lives to protect innocent lives. Shield us from despair. Let our fears give way to hope. Lead us to join together as a nation, to put an end to anti-Semitism, an end to hatred, an end to gun violence. Teach us to honor the souls we have lost by raising our hands and voices together in the cause of peace. Because the Torah is a tree of life, and all its paths are peaceful. Work through us. Turn our helplessness into action. Teach us to believe that we can rise up from this tragedy and banish the hate that is tearing our world apart. We must never be indifferent to the plight of any who suffer. We must learn to care, to open our hearts and open our hands. Into your eternal embrace, gather the souls of the victims. Let them find shelter and peace in your presence. Their lives have ended, but their lights can never be extinguished. May they shine upon us always and illuminate our way. And let us say, Amen.
You may be seated.
May the one who brings peace to reign in the heavens, let peace descend upon us all.
Since these horrible anti-Semitic attack at the Tree of Life Synagogue, many of us have been turning to a higher power to ask why this would happen. We've been turning to the unseen, looking for a purpose. And I, for one, have been working to find peace in the possibility that those who died will spark a national reflection. That they will spark a change in the world like we have never seen. And one we haven't seen in a long, long time. I'm hopeful that maybe as a result, we will more readily choose to have the courage to demonstrate love in our daily actions and communications with each other. Maybe we can demonstrate in our daily lives that peace has a place amongst us, and we must, with urgency, act that out, now like never before. Maybe the wider public will recognize that words have consequences. You cannot vilify and dehumanize others. We have seen the consequences that brings, now and in our past. And we must not, we will not, continue to let that resurface over and over and over again. I think we've all learned that we have to stand guard if we're ever going to make progress towards unity. We know there are consequences when children are raised with hate or fear and prejudice, or when that is signaled by a leader in any position that it's okay. But here, and this is where I feel hope, here we can come together and shout out our pride to be here tonight together with one another, standing with our arms around each other, protecting one another. Here we will not let someone blinded by hate change our love and respect for one another, or stoke a fear that no one should feel in their daily activities. Maybe when they're putting a necklace around their neck with the Star of David. We cannot back down from our pride. Here we can protect each other from those seemingly inevitable fears, because we recognize, as demonstrated tonight, when one of us is attacked, all of us are attacked. And so it feels like there is no greater challenge, no greater calling than making this love and unity our acknowledged reality from this moment forward. It makes me incredibly proud that all of you chose to join tonight. And you may or may not know it, but hundreds more outside that were being turned away to show their love, their respect for one another. And that's what makes me proud to be here tonight. So thank you.
One of my favorite scriptures from the Christian Bible comes from 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter, verses 7 through 9. And I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version Bible. But we have this treasure in clay jars, so that it be made clear that this extraordinary power belongs to God and does not come from us. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. Why? Because, as we have heard throughout this past week in other visuals, and that this one, love will conquer all. It sound simple, but aren't the best things in life the simple things? A smile, a hug, a word of encouragement, a flower, a cool breeze, or how about that ice cream cone? So the treasure we have in jars of clay, our mortal bodies, is simply love. Even when we appear to be afflicted, perplexed and in despair, and yes, persecuted or struck down, those of us left behind will rise up, continue to fight for justice in love. Love, that treasure within our clay jars of life. You see, love always moves a person to action, and that's simply the ongoing treasure within all of us. Are you ready to promote justice?
Yes.
Okay, because that's not rhetorical, and I think we can do it a little better. Again, are we ready to continue to promote justice? Yes. Even when the cameras, the journalists stop coverage of the present horrific event, because in between there will come other horrific events, like the 2 African Americans killed at the Kroger marketplace because their alleged killer could not get into a historically black church because the doors were locked. And when he came out of the Kroger, a person who had gone and gotten his handgun ran up to him and said, "Do you know what's going on in there?" And the alleged murderer said, "White people don't kill white people." But the treasure we carry within all of us will win out hate, whether Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, agnostic, atheist, whatever, gay, lesbian, transgender, queer, whatever you call yourself, whomever you are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. I am too.
Good evening and greetings of peace, friends and neighbors. Bismillah Anochi. Begin in the name of God, the merciful and the compassionate. A Jewish funeral procession once passed by the Prophet Muhammad, upon him be blessings and peace. And the Prophet stood to honor the deceased. When he did so, he was asked, "Why are you standing? This is not a Muslim procession." Incredulous, the Prophet replied, "Is this not a human soul?" The Muslim American community stands in total solidarity with our friends and neighbors across faiths and identities as we mourn the victims of hatred and terrorism in all of its manifestations. We stand with people of conscience in resisting the hateful rhetoric and malicious legislative maneuverings of the executive branch. And we decry the resulting violence that is consuming our society. And we share with you all in the utter grief and outrage of the Jewish community and much wider in light of this horrific anti-Semitic atrocity in Pittsburgh, as well as the recent hate-motivated killings at a market in Louisville. Tonight, with weariness and exhaustion, we hold in our memories and our prayers those murdered, the families left behind, and all victims of hate-filled violence. But we must also hold in prayer, and deepest concern too, all of us who find that our very spirits may be breaking and broken beyond repair. Yes, words fail in conveying the depth of our grief. Words fail in comprehending, words fail in conveying our incomprehension at seeing our country, seeing our nation's freefall into a self-inflicted destruction that may be without precedent. But as a dear Jewish friend said to me this week, she said her resistance is to continue living and loving. That's my inspiration right now. Friends, what cannot fail is a continuing reaffirmation of our interdependencies as brothers and sisters of one fragile human family. What cannot fail is to dig that much deeper within ourselves and summon our most loving and gentle selves for one another. What cannot fail is to proudly live out our shared, timeless, life-giving values. What cannot fail is responding to callous and ignorant rhetoric with truth-telling that's offered from a place of genuine concern. What cannot fail is remain vigilant in cultivating our lives of prayer, our personal and communal connection to our eternal and merciful Lord, that we might be guided towards building places and environments in this life of greater hope and renewal. We ask that the one who knows our most intimate worries and fears provide us the comfort and solace we need to continue living and loving. We ask that God transforms our shock and our pain into a healing energy and vision that will restore our deeply fractured and wounded nation and its people, while opening doors for all those who seek peace, safety, and refuge. We appeal to God for freedom from cycles of malice and violence through the peace and wholeness that God alone can provide. Amen.
Amen.
Good evening, everyone. I am so sorry that we are here this evening under these circumstances. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Talia Bensason-Bortis, and I'm a little shorter than the previous speakers. And I'm the Senior Associate Regional Director of ABL New England. On Saturday, our American Jewish community stood witness to what many of us have feared for a long time: the killing of Jews in their sacred house of worship, simply because they are Jews. While the Jewish community has known hate throughout history, this atrocity serves as a reminder that anti-Semitism is not a thing of the past. It is thriving and growing in the United States of America today. 5 days after the deadliest attack in history on the American Jewish community, it is clearer than ever before that anti-Semitism, hate, and bigotry have seeped into the mainstream and become normalized. The surge in incidents of bias and anti-Semitism in schools and communities across New England has been unrelenting. We have a responsibility to confront it, to prevent it from becoming widespread, from becoming the new normal. Violence against Jews does not occur in a vacuum. It is only made possible by the slow and insidious normalization of anti-Semitism, by the refusal to clearly and unequivocally reject hatred when hatred is seen and heard, hatred towards any marginalized group, and by the divisiveness that is all too apparent in our society today, by what I am afraid to call the new normal of hate. As every single person in this room tonight understands, hate crimes are meant to target entire communities. Earlier last week, an armed man tried to enter a predominantly black church in Louisville, Kentucky. Thankfully, he failed to enter, but he then proceeded, as we've already heard, and shot and killed 2 African Americans, Maurice Stallard and Vicki Jones. The shooter's goal in Louisville was to terrorize the black community, just as the perpetrator's goal in Pittsburgh was to terrorize the Jewish community. This was their intent, and this was all in 1 week. My team in our office in Boston has been beyond busy these past few days, and in the weeks and months prior to this horrific, tragic event. Yet every single person on the Boston team shares one important belief. We believe that each of us is capable of making a difference. Every person here this evening, every person in the Berkshires, every person in Massachusetts, every person each of us interacts with. It's what keeps us going, doing the work we do in times like these. Because collectively, we can have an impact and inspire change. But change isn't going to happen magically. It takes leadership, commitment, and passion. And it takes each and every one of you here tonight. Tonight, so many of us have come together to show solidarity. And from where I'm standing, I can see something that you can't see. And this room is incredible. It is packed to the gills, and it is awe-inspiring. And I want to thank each and every one of you from the Berkshires community who came. We've seen an outpouring of support from elected officials, from law enforcement, from faith leaders, friends and neighbors have all come together to stand in solidarity and against bigotry. And that is the single most important thing that we can do to fight hate, to work and stand together. So thank you all for your support. I'd like to ask each of you, as long as you and your neighbor are both comfortable, to take each other's hand for a moment. Tonight, now, we must heal together. Healing is a very long process, and the grief that we feel now will not go away overnight. But we need to start healing, and we can only do that together with the support of our families and friends, our communities, and our allies. Because tomorrow must be a day of action. Anti-Semitism is not a Jewish problem. It is an American problem. It is a global problem, and it requires all of us to be part of the solution. Upholding and defending the values that define our community, that define Massachusetts, that define the United States of America, means confronting anti-Semitism and hate at its root. It cannot be done by one single person or group. It requires a commitment from everyone to stamp out the embers of hate, to speak up in the face of injustice, to ensure that we do not experience this inhumane cruelty again. If we don't make this commitment now, if we do not take action, if we are complacent when we leave here tonight, then the anti-Semites and haters have won, and no synagogue, church, temple, mosque, or Berbera are safe. Our country is at a crossroads. We said never again after the Boston Marathon bombing, after San Bernardino, after Orlando, after Parkland, and now after Pittsburgh. Well, never is now, and it's up to us. As Elie Wiesel explained, the opposite of love is not hate, it is indifference. I pray for the day when we as a nation realize that our diversity is indeed our biggest strength. So let's rededicate ourselves tonight to calling out hate in all its forms, wherever we see it, and to working together to build the world we all want to live in.
In light we see, and in light we are seen. When you came in this evening, you were given a small candle. I would invite you to illuminate that now. And as we continue with El Malei Rachamim, the traditional Jewish memorial prayer, I would invite all who are able to please rise. El Malei Rachamim.
El Malei Rachamim, God of abundant mercy, God most high. May the soul of our brothers and sisters who have entered eternity, Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Jerry Rabinowitz, Rose Mallinger, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, Daniel Stein, Melvin Wax, Irving Younger, Maurice E. Stallard, Vicki Lee Jones. May they find the gift of perfect peace in your embrace, together with the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold them close to you forever, so that their souls may be bound up in the bond of eternal life. May they find a home with you, God, and may they rest in peace. Together we say, Amen. Please be seated.
In a moment, I'm going to invite you to join me in sharing the words of the 23rd Psalm. And the problem with the 23rd Psalm, its strength and its weakness, is that it's so familiar in both of our traditions. We know it too well, so often we don't listen to what it's really saying. And what the 23rd Psalm is saying is that we are not alone. Even though there's a lot of us here, we can feel very alone. We are not alone, whether we're walking through still waters and green pastures, or walking through the many valleys of death surrounded by enemies. We are not alone. That is what this psalm is telling us. We are embraced by a shepherd. We are embraced by love. Wherever we are in life, whatever life brings. And that love, that shepherd, has brought us here tonight. Take a moment just to sense that connection. In this silence is the shepherd. In this silence is the love that comforts us, but much more importantly, grounds us with strength, so that, as our speaker said, tomorrow we can take action because our feet are on the ground, we are connected, and we have a shepherd who walks with us, even through the agonies of life, leading us out of death into ever more abundant life. May we share that journey as we share this song now. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my
Psalm 23, words and a melody of comfort, consolation, and strength. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo echsad, b'ilot asher yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot nachaleini, nafshi yeshoveh, nafshi yeshoveh, yamcheni b'maglei tzedek l'man shemo, gam ki elech b'geitz al-mavet, lo irara ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha, shivtecha umishantecha, heima nachamuni, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, neged saorai, dishanta v'shemen roshi, dishanta v'shemen roshi, dishanta v'shemen roshi, kosi revaya.
Mourner's Kaddish is on the back of your handout. If body will permit, please join us in rising as we praise God's name in remembrance. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Amen. Alma, Tikra, Yirtei, Yomim, Malutei, B'chayet Hom, Yomet Hom, B'chayet Hom, Beit Yisrael, B'Hagdalav, B'Zman Karev, B'Yiru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba, B'Barach, Elam, Yemei Almaya, Yitbarach, V'Yishtabach, V'Yitpa'ar, V'Yitolam, V'Yitnaseh, V'Yitadar, V'Yitaleh, V'Yitalal, Shmei Kedusha, B'Richu, V'Elam, Mikol, Birata, V'Shirata, Tushbehata, V'Nechamata, Gam Yaman, Ya'alam, V'Yiru, Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba, Min Shemaya, V'Chayim, Aleinu, V'Kol Yisrael, V'Yiru, Amen. Osei Shalom Yiruma, Uyasei Shalom, Aleinu, V'Kol Yisrael, V'Yiru, Amen. Please be seated.
A few words of announcements before we conclude with prayer and the song this evening. Following our closing prayer and our closing song, we invite everyone to please be patient and to make your way out of the sanctuary as you wash yourselves in the parking lot, and please, we invite everyone to drive safely this evening. As it will take some time to clear the room, we want to end with one invitation, which is to take the opportunity to be together as one community and to meet someone new. So as we're saying goodbye to one another this evening, let's also make sure that we have turned to someone and introduced ourselves. We've had that opportunity to put our arms around our neighbors, and it's that opportunity to turn strangers into neighbors and make sure that we truly are one community. As we conclude this evening, let me invite all those who are able to please rise and invite the Williams College Gospel Choir to come join me here on the field. Makor Chayenu, the fountain and source of life, we have come together this evening to seek meaning beyond our limited selves. Having encountered hate and bigotry, we have come together to stand up, to say no, to seek a spirit that binds together the scattered threads of our humanity, a thread that binds us together in compassion, in understanding, in love. A thread that weaves the past, the present, and the future together, uniting the fragments of our existence into a meaningful whole. We have come together tonight from across our county to bear witness to the preciousness of life, to say even when confronted with communal trauma and grief, that within us lies a sacred invincibility of spirit, and that invincibility, that is a gift that emerges out of our community. It is that invincibility which binds us to one another. And so may we wrap our arms once more around one another. May we hold one another with gratitude, being thankful for our loved ones, our friends, and our community members. May we be grateful for fellowship, which, like brilliant light, radiates beyond these walls, touching the lives of others who are with us in their tears, in their grief, in their loss, their pain, their hope, compassion, and their love. Same love as our own. May those who find themselves grieving for the lost lives from the Tree of Life Synagogue and elsewhere find comfort and solace in these days. And may we, as one diverse community, know that while the whole world may be a narrow bridge, we serve God and one another best when we are not afraid. Makor Chayenu, O source of life, continue to bless our days that we may long endure, that we may long thrive and serve you with joy. May we recognize the light within ourselves and within others, letting it shine through. Letting it shine, shine, shine. Amen.
Amen.